Pan-Africanism is a powerful vision, but one that demands a lot of sacrifice, trust, and hard work. If we really want that to happen, then we must be willing to live it and not just to dream about it. For over a century, Pan-Africanism has inspired Black leaders, intellectuals, and activists to build a united Africa, strong and self-reliant, and to stand tall on the world stage. But in 2025, is Pan-Africanism getting closer to reality? Or is it still a beautiful illusion? Now, the term Pan-Africanism emerged in the late 19th and early 20th century, championed by African and Caribbean intellectuals like Henry Sylvester Williams and W.E.B. Du Bois, a Black American intellectual. Its aim is to unite African people worldwide, politically, culturally, and economically, in the fight against colonialism and racial oppression. That's good. In the 1950s and 60s, African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah, Julius and Haile Selassie pushed for continental unity as African independence came around. That led to the formation of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, in 1963 as the first step towards the United States of Africa. Now, here are the goals of Pan-Africanism. Let's read. Eliminate colonial and neo-colonial influence. Promote political unity and economic integration. Encourage cultural pride and revive the African heritage. Strengthen Africa's voice on the global stage. Ensure Africans everywhere on the continent and in the diaspora work towards shared prosperity. Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, I do agree with all this, except maybe political unity. My reason is that to achieve that would take a longer time. Okay, but basically everything here, hey, I'm on board with. Okay. Now, from the start, African leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Julius had a disagreement about how or when those things can be achieved. Nkrumah pushed for immediate political union. And like I said, I personally, even today, do not see that happening. Others, like Nyerere, prefer a gradual integration through regional cooperation. Yeah, I see this as feasible, even though we still have a lot of issues getting that done. Now, Cold War politics, geopolitics added fuel to fire, because some people sided the West, some other people sided the East, the Soviet bloc. See, national interest often outweighed continental goals. And that's a fact of the diversity of Africa. And that's a major issue that has stalled progress. So let's talk about Africa's diversity and how it has affected this dream. You see, Africa has, like you know, over 1 billion people. In fact, 1.4 billion people in 54 countries. There are over 3,000 ethnic groups, speaking over 2,000 different languages. Think about this. It's mind-blowing. Different traditions and cultures all around the continent. It's mind-blowing. You see, diversity is beautiful, but you see, different people have different goals, have different interests, and those different goals and interests have repercussions. Deep ethnic loyalties, complex national interests with very different political systems. This make unity complex. So from the start, many of our political leaders prioritized their own national interests. And like we know, even at the national level, leaders prioritize their ethnic interests. These are complex issues that are bigger than the continental interests. It is the reality of life. Let's look at some things that have happened in the last few decades, and including going on right now. You see, the dream of African unity often collapses when there is economic hardship or competition for resources. For example, in 1969, Ghana's Alien Compliance Order expelled over 200,000 foreigners from Ghana, mostly Nigerians. In 1983 to 85, Nigeria expelled over 2 million foreigners, mainly Ghanaians, during economic downturns. In parts of Eastern and Central Africa, small expulsions happened. Also, in South Africa, in the last few years, repeated waves of violence against Nigerians, Zimbabweans, over jobs and crime fears. Currently, there are calls for expulsion of Nigerians in Ghana, citing retail business laws that Nigerians as foreigners should not be involved in retail business. See, this incident exposes the reality of things, the painful truth that nationalism and protectionism often trumps Pan-African unity when things get tough. You see, Pan-Africanism sounds noble in conferences, but in reality, it requires, first, shared values. Shared values. You see, most people in Africa are blacks, but being black is not enough. Many people think just because we all are black and because we all live on the continent of Africa that we are all the same. That is not true. We all have different history, different traditions, and different cultures. So we really need to sit down and find those shared values that we hold together as a starting point if we really want to achieve the Pan-African dream. By now, you may have noticed that the way I talk, I'm not fully on board with the Pan-Africanist dream. Well, I will tell you, yes, like I said earlier, I agree with many of the goals, but I'm not a Pan-Africanist. No. And there are reasons. Starting from a major ideology that a lot of Pan-Africanists have. Socialism, Marxism. I'm not on board at all. At all. I am totally against that. But I totally believe in African unity based on shared interests and values, trade, security, and developmental projects that benefit all of us. For this to happen, we must build trust and not just making big speeches in conferences. So, this is something I encourage young Africans to do. Educate yourselves on the real history of Africa, both the inspiring parts and our failures. Support cross-border collaboration, especially for business, tech, and culture. Challenge your leaders who use African unity as a political slogan. We don't need it. We need something that can be achieved, concrete. Most importantly, promote and maybe fight for small movements, regional integration. Because if we do that correctly, in little time, it will expand and lead to continental integration. So, this is my final take. Pan-Africanism is a powerful vision, but one that demands a lot of sacrifice, trust, and hard work. If we really want that to happen, then we must be willing to live it and not just to dream about it and make speeches.